Remember when FPS games were like...
I'm sorry as hell to say this, but I need you all to come with me.
But why, sir?
The Russians. They're invading.
But now they're like...
What doth life? Are we just fleshy blips in some meaningless stew of cosmic oblivion?
If I told you the reason modern FPS games take themselves so seriously was a direct consequence of a US president's re-election campaign, you would probably call me insane. But that wouldn't matter because I'm right. Stay with me here, I promise, it's worth it. In 2011, Osama bin Laden was definitely still alive and definitely had not experienced renal failure in the mountains of Afghanistan in 2006. Rightfully, the United States could not stand this and dispatched their most elite, second, maybe third, they're up there, their elite counter-terror, commando, operator, Jolly Roger wearing, dip-sucking unit to make sure Osama's kidneys would fail once and for all. SEAL Team 6, or DevGru, as they are sometimes called, which was created by a dude named Richard Marcinko, aka Demo Dick. Yes, I'm serious. Who can be described as Steven Seagal if he actually was that guy, but felt like he still needed to act like Steven Seagal for some reason. Marcinko was the subject of a Bethesda-published game called Rogue Warrior, a terrible game where Demo Dick, voiced by Mickey Rourke, delivers the most creative insults ever authored by man, while he stabs North Koreans to death in New Jersey. That's the game. A true American hero. This dude wrote self-insert fanfiction about himself while he was in prison. What should our intrepid hero say when he has been misled? By Jove, I've got it!
It's a goat fuck, Admiral. Your intel was bullshit. Karl Marx, fuck Karl Marx. He's a big fucking faggot pussy. Suck my balls, my hairy fucking big balls. Wrap them around your fucking mouth. Goddamn cock breath coming, motherfuckers!
Why, yes, that's it! That's the guy that started SEAL Team 6. Anyway, so Demo Dick's boys were selected by Big Barry to spearhead the operation. The mission to take out young Osama B went like your average Arma 3 operation, in that the pilot couldn't keep the helicopter in the air, everyone got lost for a bit, but it somehow worked out anyway. Just like an Arma operation, everyone who was on the mission still argues about who really got the kills. According to one of the SEALs that was on the mission, the very moment they returned to the States, the Obama administration had them give full access to all classified details of the operation to a Hollywood film crew, who was, somehow, already working on what would become perhaps the most boring movie in history, Zero Dark 30. The American version of Triumph of the Will, potentially an adaptation of Macbeth, and a film that would attempt to cement that America had finally defeated its mortal enemy of the previous half-century, illiterate farmers on the opposite side of the planet. It's not like this is anything new. There is something romantic about living an ascetic monk-like lifestyle where instead of praying all the time and lighting candles, you blow things up with the boys and kill people while passing any moral responsibility onto the person who told you to do so, because you're just following orders and that's your job. I'm sure it sounds like I'm hating on the military here, but I'm actually being 100% genuine. I don't know what it is about the male psychology that makes gratuitous violence with the boys so appealing, but I guess that's a question for God. Anyway, partially as a consequence of Zero Dark 30, Big Barry won the 2012 presidential election, and we have experienced the Operator-ifaction of Culture. Thick goth Latinas in Los Angeles are now obsessed with David Goggins. Jocko Willink is selling his man mulk to young lads.
Legs broken. Good.
And all of them have a podcast now. The silent professionals realized you can make a lot of money by yapping. I will admit, I do listen to Sean Ryan, though, primarily because it's really funny to watch this former CIA operative get really pissed off and go, "What the fuck?" over information that was, publicly available on the internet a decade ago. This cultural paradigm shift hit gaming like a stealth Black Hawk hit the ground in Abbottabad, Pakistan on May 2nd, 2011. Battlefield 3 came out not even 6 months after the raid.
Absolutely not. We need al-Bashir alive. We need his intel on the nukes we found at the bank. I do not want a bin Laden-style resolution here. Do you understand?
They just had to slip that one in there. This was the beginning of the end. The wave of fun, over-the-top, interactive action movies of my youth were slowly replaced with hitting the dark and gritty. Call of Duty, the franchise that brought you Soap, type on that keyboard faster or America's going to explode, would soon hit us with you are a child soldier fighting an occupying army using chemical weapons against your people. Because that is a headline we read in the news. And, bro, I'm about to shoot this guy's kids right now for real, while also somehow pulling more punches in the games that took themselves less seriously. It took a few years, but the shift is obvious in hindsight. There is no more perfect example than Medal of Honor Warfighter, whose title alone tells you all you need to know about this generation of games. The original Medal of Honor games were wild, crazy, frankly, in hindsight. And this was one of the most generic games ever. It sold itself as a gritty experience about tier 1 operators. There's a reason that very few people remember this game. The whole dark and gritty thing is like hot sauce. The action movie, engaging over-the-top scenarios are the burger. I want hot sauce on my burger. It enhances the flavor. I do not want to eat an entire bowl of hot sauce. That's weird. After the Bin Laden raid and the media that came out immediately afterward, everything was about quad nods, lasers, whispering, midnight raids, and irritating amounts of jargon that nerds think sounds cool. Somewhere in the messed up family lineage of media, Sicario, which I will say is a great movie, infected games with a frustrating amount of moral grayness. It's irritating to me when you're gonna wax poetic about how, oh, maybe from a certain point of view this is good. War is evil, or it isn't. We don't really know. I don't know what side I'm on. We're just mimicking a movie we saw that we thought was cool. Every time a first-person shooter tries to make me question whether shooting the virtual people on the screen is the morally correct thing to do, I scratch my head. You're missing the point. I don't care if it's morally right. You gave me a gun, which is hopefully fun to use, and this is a video game and these people are not real. The punch of going, well, maybe you shouldn't have done that, is removed when that's how I need to progress the game. No Russian is fine. When it first came out, it was shocking. It's advancing the plot, but it's not desperately insisting, you really need to feel bad about this right now. Or punishing the player for using the tools given to them, you know, lecturing them, wagging their finger at you. I can't believe that you killed people in a video game. I feel like that happens so much now. The original Modern Warfare 2 was self-aware enough to appreciate that this is, once again, a video game that is supposed to be fun. The selling point for many of these new titles is their commitment to realism without any regard for whether or not that is actually fun. Even gameplay-wise, as someone who likes shooting guns from time to time, I really have no interest in accounting for height over bore in a video game while I realistically and tactically move at 1 foot per second while under heavy gunfire, or swapping out my 14.5-inch barrel for a 16-inch barrel for the increased muzzle velocity. We can all agree that weapon customization was way more fun when it was, do you want a sight or a grenade launcher? Or a suppressor. I don't think any game is better for giving me the decision of, do you want plus 2% fire rate with a Geisley trigger? You know I'm right. I don't even need a source. After all, those sorts of customization gimmicks are just that, marketing gimmicks. It's the sort of thing that sounds really cool. Like when we were kids, we would totally think things like, oh, in the future, Call of Duty will let you customize all sorts of things about your gun. But the reality is, actually, it's really boring. You still end up with a few overpowered meta builds that end up shrinking the viable possibilities enough that, really, it's the illusion of choice. You'd just be better off keeping things simple. I am reminded of Bad Company 2, a game that represents the absolute peak of what a first-person shooter can be. To be frank, this game has voluminous swag, and most importantly, is this little thing called fun. The weapons feel silky and different from each other. The maps are pleasant, varied, and not just a LiDAR scan imported Google Earth topographical data thing, because that is visually stunning type of deal. I don't want it to be realistic. I want it to be a fun video game. I've said before that I think Battlefield 6 is being praised because people are used to being abused and our standards are so low, and it bears repeating. Put a screenshot of Battlefield 3 next to a screenshot of Battlefield 6, and it pales in spiritual comparison. Is Battlefield 6 unfun, bland, a manipulative gaslighter, and probably cheating on me? Yes. But is it as bad as 2042? No. It's a little bit of the contrast effect happening there. More recently, Call of Duty has actually gone in a different but equally extreme direction with something I'd like to call the Call of Duty Marvel Warfare franchise, where they seem to have made the primary characters into superheroes. Perhaps Demo Dick was actually ahead of his time with the whole, I'm going on a very elite special mission in the dark after bedtime, tactically, and my code name is going to be Kill Fucker. It's becoming so over the top that it feels like deliberate parody. It feels like any modern FPS has to be one end of the extreme or the other, rather than a pleasant blend of the two. Which again, is weird, because that's where they started. The original Modern Warfare games were awesome because they didn't really look into the camera and go, hey man, wasn't that fucking edgy? Stuff just happened and the game let you sit with it. Price blows a prisoner's head off without hesitation. You're dumped right into a public place with a machine gun. Shepard just straight up scars you for life. If these scenes were in a modern Call of Duty game, someone would have to be like, damn, wasn't that sweet? Or, you should feel really bad about that actually. They're trying too hard while missing the point of what being cool actually is. It's about being in control while seeming like you don't care. That's why smoking is cool. It's like, damn, I got all this life in me, I can deliberately poison myself. I'm in control. I'm so cool, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. The old games used to make the perfect blend look so easy. It's not just games though. What happened to the first-person shooter is also what happened to gun culture, so you know it's not a fluke. Around pretty much the exact same time as the classic FPS games I've discussed, we had stuff like FPS Russia. Silly, entertaining with a little kernel of substantive information mixed in. Or Demolition Ranch, just a guy in Texas blowing stuff up with guns. Or Hickok 45, a giant old man. That was gun culture. Simple, a little redneck, goofy. Then we descended into the post-Zero Dark 30 operator culture. You look up gun videos on YouTube now, everyone's playing dress up like they're about to go into combat and not like they're about to shoot paper targets on a flat range. They all take themselves so seriously and give commentary on how, when the shit hits the fan and your disciplined crew of goons are going to cause some serious mischief with your nods after dark during the boog in your Hawaiian shirts. Jesus fucking Christ, thanks for ruining it for the rest of us, you freaks. There must be a specific subset of the population that is really into this stuff. It can't be straight up kids, and it can't be Gen Xers either. I guess it'd have to be people my age, you know, the malformed group in the middle, you know, the young millennials, the older Gen Z, that have unrequited aspirations to violence, and this is an outlet for them. It's like a strange, twisted version of G.I. Joe. My point here is that it's crazy how media, be it games, YouTube videos, podcasts, whatever, are all directly downstream from what happens in Washington, D.C., and then Hollywood, which is, you know, downstream from that. I mean, even look at Battlefield 6 and Civil War, you know, it makes you think.